If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the filthy capitalist option. As Sori says, $125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. $125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and you get matched down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at vinsori@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Yep. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is the community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go in the village, facebook.com/Vin and Sori. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch.
Buy our merch, indeed. A child shall lead them. The name of this song
Okay, the band is Bethlehem.
Yep.
The name is...
That's
true. It translates Diary of a
Tagebuch,
Stillborn.
Einer, Totgeburt, which translates to Diary of a Stillborn.
Okay.
Inshallah, we don't have to do any trigger warnings on the final editing of this video, inshallah. I am not sure. Diary of a Stillborn. Is there a prescript?
So Berto wanted this read, and it's actually taken from the band itself. Honestly, if all of these things would have never happened in the past, I doubt a band such as Bethlehem would ever exist. Those suicide death events base on this thing that happened in Matten's and my own past. Matten's father died by hanging himself. Ugh. And shortly after, his mother died of cancer. Holy shit. Myself, I lost all my former friends and dudes due to suicide. My pregnant girlfriend hanged herself, and the only thing I could do was cutting the clothesline she used for suicide. 10 of my best friends and dudes followed in 2 years. Holy shit. And this made me a complete drug addict and nervous wreck. I spent lots of energy getting back to the light, but all these things still engage Matten and myself, and the very best things about talking about all this is Bethlehem and its possibility to channel negative and horrible experiences of a former life. That's why we dedicated Dictus Te Nakar to all suicide victims. It shall be nothing but a bulwark against forgetfulness. And then he's got the English translation here. Oh my gosh. That is so much stuff. See, you and one of our villagers that I talk to on the regular have had so much loss. I can't even... The amount of loss that you two have experienced is crazy to me. And then you hear about these people... And these people make you guys not even look like this is insane. That's so much. Everybody, the girlfriend, that's oh my God. See, that's a real, like, maybe she already had other things, but when you're pregnant, the hormonal switch and stuff, it really can mess with you. And if you're not ready for it or like conscious that it's going to happen, it's very difficult. Oh, that's awful. Oh my God.
All right. Well, on that note, here is Bethlehem. Diary of a Stillborn is the English translation. Let's go.
Ich wartete Jahrhunderte und man sagte mir, dass eine Scheibe Brot überdauert. Ich nähte den Grund ein, aber konnte ihn nicht erreichen. Das Gleiche, aber wie du siehst, verschieden. Ich fand dich zuweilen heraus, um ja mehrmals von mir gesehen zu werden. Unterhalb, es ist unterhalb. Das verschmutzte Abteil benötigt meine Zeit. Und ich erbrach meine Chimäre, als ich das kranke Fleisch von mir abwandte.
That was full of feeling and numbness and emotion and nothing. Ugh, wow. Oh my God. And I wonder how many other songs like this I've misjudged or misrated because I didn't know the story behind it. Like, had I not known the story, I don't know what I would have felt for this song. But hearing all that stuff before, it sets a stage, and then you experience the music based on its surroundings.
Yeah. I mean, every song has a story behind it, you know.
Yeah, I know, but when you don't know the story...
Yeah.
You know, especially if it's not your style of music, then it's, you know, what are these vocals? Or, you know what I mean? Like...
He did a really good job communicating the... Yeah, I talked about this in a couple reviews ago, where it's like... the band does a really good job of, vocally doing the death vocals thing.
Yeah.
But I was saying that death vocals itself are a technique, and it's gotten to the point where it is.
I thought that was an interesting point you made.
Yeah, it's now, for me anyway, it's at the point where it's like you've got a lot of really good death vocal technicians, but just like how you can have a singer that's a really good singer, a technically proficient singer, but her, she's too robotic and there's no human element. I feel like that way with death vocals as well. And so I like when I hear death vocals that are truly emotional. You know what I'm saying? And human.
And this one was extremely so. Yeah.
Yeah, it was vocally, it was a lot more human than standard death vocals. It's like I was saying, like on the one end of the spectrum, you got somebody that sounds like an angel because they're such a good, clean singer. On the other end of the spectrum, you have somebody that sounds like a high-ranking demon. And that's great too, to a degree, but both of those are not human.
Right.
And so I love when there's like you see cracks of humanity, and obviously, at times, they're allowing themselves to be that on purpose in the studio when they're recording, obviously. But I just think that that's amazing. Also, on a practical level, I'm like, there's no way they did like 20 cuts of this. You know how we had start and stop, redo this, you know what I'm saying? When like we're trying to record music or you're trying to practice.
No, I don't think they start and stop it either.
You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like a lot of it's just raw, you know what I'm saying, like in the studio. And some of that has to do with technical proficiency, knowing how to catch a beat, but others it's just raw talent. Go ahead, what were you saying?
Yeah, this one you just, I was watching this cartoon with the kids. Believe it or not, I kept crying through the stupid cartoon. But one of them, actually it was two different ones, but one of them was about art, and the kid had to make a piece of art. It was a month away. He couldn't figure out something. He couldn't get his whatever. And then he ended up meeting this artist. I can't remember what the guy's, Kevin Sampson, I think, or something. From my point of view, I think that his art is horribly ugly. But his the message that he put behind it, I thought was really great. He was basically saying that your art shouldn't look like anybody else's art. It should be your own thing because it comes from you and it's expression of you, and you're unique, so your art should be unique. And kind of going along with what you had said, like some of it almost sounds like here's a style that they were trying to match and be, and they created their music based off a certain style rather than based off the uniqueness of their person. And but like this song, I felt like I could feel the artist, and I felt like I could feel the pain of the artist. And it's interesting because like there's a verse that talks about that we should share in our sorrows but also share in our joys. And I wonder if when the artist creates this music, and they, obviously he knew that other people, he said like this music wouldn't have been created had it not been for what he went through.
Yeah.
So I wonder if by creating it, he feels a sort of camaraderie or a sharing of his suffering with his listeners, and everybody can kind of share in the sufferings that they have and the sufferings of others by experiencing this music together, which is really interesting because it's, in that sense, it's sort of like a portal toward other people and for them to reach toward you. And I think that maybe that's why some of us are drawn to this type of music, is because you feel less alone when you can feel, okay, like, if I had gone through this amount of horrible things, or, even, just a lot of our villagers have been through a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And so I think that, I may not have been through the same things that everybody's been through, or experienced the death of pain like you have or other people have, but I still know the feeling of pain. And so like I can relate to this song, and you feel it with them, and I don't know, there's sort of a like a healing that kind of maybe gets past. I'm not sure. It's very interesting. But again, I am so curious to know, like, if I could rewind time and listen to it without knowing what the song was, I wonder what I would have thought about it. I feel like I would have felt the pain of it because it was so clearly communicated.
Yeah, for sure. I was reading this article about this town in England, and they had a rash of like it's something ridiculous like 50 suicides, that town. And a lot of it were young kids. And it got to the point where the parents were saying, like, the kids would go to school, and the kids would laugh at the parents and say, "I'm fine," like, relax, and then they wouldn't come home.
Oh my God!
Like, it was this, and you know, it's a weird article. It was weird reading through the article. I mean, obviously for me, I'm like, I think there's a psycho-spiritual component there.
Yeah.
And unless you've been through a suicide and been counseled by suicide, your chances of attempting or committing suicide increases exponentially the closer you are to a person who's done it.
I bet.
Because that person is breaking through some sort of wall, some sort of taboo. And now that they've done it, it puts people... So this one town, it was just cycling. It was just cycling through the town. It was just unbelievable. Just to read this thing. I remember reading, I was in the hospital because I had brought a family member. It was a pretty hairy situation, you know, with guns and all that type of shit. That's when I texted you. I texted you and I was like, yo, if you guys don't hear from me in an hour, call the cops.
You know, when you messaged me that, I was thinking, you know, whenever you see movies, like if the person waits the hour, if they had called the cops at 45 minutes, the person would have survived. But if they wait the hour, the person dies. So I was debating whether I should wait the hour like you asked or call the cops at 45.
Yeah, I'm glad you did you followed my instructions.
I did.
But I was reading that article in the hospital while I was getting this person checked up and everything, and like, so it was just a crazy.
Was this like in a cold, dark place?
The play, I forgot. It was a Canadian type of.
Yeah. I'll tell you what I would have done. Well, first of all, I'd follow with whatever you thought was a good idea. But if you weren't in the picture, I'd friggin' load up my kids in the car and I would drive myself somewhere else, and we would start over in another town, another place.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it was unbelievable. Like, looking at it was insane. So like, that's something important for awareness. If you're taking care of somebody who's suicidal or whatever, like, you have to make sure to protect your own mental health.
Yeah.
Especially if you love someone that has done that act, and then you have to have the self-awareness to understand that you're now vulnerable. You've been vulnerable. It's almost like a psychoactive disease, that thing. When people start dwelling on it and thinking about it and obsessing about it, they become, you know, and again, I'm not saying that they themselves are toxic, but it's just like trying to save a drowning person. A lot of times when a person is drowning, like, you have to be careful because they'll take you down with them.
Yeah.
Because they're in the throes of drowning or whatever. So I'm just saying is when you're caretaking for a person in an official or non-official capacity who is suicidal, you've got to watch your own mental health. You got to watch where your mind is going. You got to be extra diligent about listening to your own self-talk so that you can know how to protect yourself.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. That's a freaking horrible. But you could just tell, like, in dudes, like, the way that he's doing the song. And then the way from clean vocals, not clean singing vocals, but clean speaking vocals. He did some almost spoken word, and then it went transition right back. And
yeah.
I don't know. These songs are badass. I'm really, really feeling these songs, man.
I thought the ending part was pretty crazy. He says, and I vomited my chimera.
Chimera, yeah.
Chimera. Oh, you're familiar with what that is?
Yeah, the half human, half...
Yeah, well, it's a fire-breathing female monster with a lion's head, a goat's body, and a serpent's tail. That's one definition. But the second definition is a thing that is hoped for or wished for, but in fact is an illusion or impossible to achieve.
Yeah.
And that, to me, was probably the definition that he was going for. He vomited up, and then it just, like, went away like some half.
Then he said he abhorred his flesh after that. He despised his own flesh or something like that.
Well,
I vomited my chimera as sick flesh turned away from me.
Right. So to me, it was that his hopes and dreams had turned to a sickened flesh that turned away and left him. So, like, even the illusion of hope was gone in some shriveled way.
Yeah. And then that was the end of his flesh. Mm-hmm. Brutal song. But very, very well communicated. What'd you get the song?
This one is a little difficult for me because I want to give it a silent count because there's so much pain involved, but then at the same time, I thought it was so well done. And I felt like he just communicated just so perfectly. I'm going with an 11.
Yeah,
I literally have no
I
criticism.
I wrestled with the count myself. Yeah, I don't want to make the song or the situation heavier than it needs to be. But rest in peace to all those folks that got taken down by suicide, and rest in peace to everybody left behind. You know, I we probably need different nomenclature in our society as far as victim versus whatever. But the real, I don't know how to. Obviously, the ultimate victims of suicide are the people that were killed, but coming in a close second or a first in their own regards are the people that loved and cared to
Absolutely.
took that person. And there's
Absolutely.
a lot of the doubt, the self-doubt, the guilt, that type of thing, or the woulda, coulda, shouldas, or whatever. So shout out to all those people, and do whatever you need to do to stay alive, dear listener. Those people, you can look at it as you failed them, or you can look at it as they were around for an extra 3 months to 3 years because of you. It would have been done a lot quicker if you weren't around. So there's multiple ways to look at that situation. I'm going to give this a 9.8. Take care of yourselves, guys. Vin out.
Sorry out.
Gone. Holy
Yikes.
shit, that was
Yikes.
that was heavy. Man, that's insane.
Yeah. But as they said, this stuff wouldn't have been created if it wasn't for that. That's just, wow.